Hey everybody, welcome back to Stamping School. This week I am playing with Basic Beige and a little color inspiration from Sherwin-Williams, because this happens to be a very, very popular color that they have for paint. I'm also using Magnolia Mood, which is a really pretty bundle, and bundles are going on sale in a couple of days for 10% off, so I thought this would be a good time to use the Magnolia Mood. So this was Sahara Sand that retired, and this is just the next version that they brought in, which is Basic Beige. This is going to be around for a while. It's part of their core colors. But if you look at the difference, we really needed something soft like that. And I hope they bring out the blends to match too. I always said it reminds me of River Rock. We used to have a River Rock. If River Rock and Sahara Sand had a baby color, it would be Basic Beige. They should just call it Baby Beige. But I really love this color. It goes with so many things. I love looking at paint colors, and Sherwin-Williams always does a great job at putting things together, colors together. This is their Modern Farmhouse series, which you can see there's Basic Beige right there. And there is a color that they have that is so similar. It's called Natural Linen, and it's got this variation right here of the linen colors and what goes with it. And look, there's Pebbled Path and Lost Lagoon. I mean, so many pretty colors go with it. So then I found this one. This is the Boho Farmhouse color palette. And you can see there's our Basic Beige, Lost Lagoon, Crumb Cake, Espresso, Basic Gray. This could almost go pecan, maybe a little lighter than that, and then the Gray Granite. So I'm going to use Basic Beige, Lost Lagoon, and Crumb Cake, and a touch of Espresso for my card today. This is the basics of the card, but I'm going to change up the sentiment on the bottom. We're going to come in with Magnolia Mood, so the stamps will match these open dies right here. Look how pretty these stamps are. I just have to show you up close. It's got all these great stippled and etched. Can you see that? Look how pretty they are. Oh, so pretty. So if you feel like coloring, you can color. And then they also have these great etched dies that have this great texture in there. Can you see all the little lines? So I'm going to use those today. I'll use a couple of the stamps for background. And then there's just these itty bitty littles, these little guys, little sprigs and leaves. I dropped a couple, but you can see what they look like. We're going to use a few of those today too. The stamp set has Happy Birthday, Thank You for Being You. I always like this one because I feel like even if they're mean, they're just you're being you. Thank you for being you, even when you're not nice. No, it's a pretty font, and I love the Happy Birthday. And just a note to let you know that you are loved. I love that. That's really nice. This card was done with the stamps. This was done by my friend Debbie Mookie in Mayville, Wisconsin. And what she did Pebble Path, which, by the way, there's a beautiful embossing folder. If you get this bundle, make sure you get this embossing folder. I'll link that below also. But she embossed that on Pebble Path and then stamped this in Pebbled Path, I think. And then she took a sponge dauber with a little petal pink and just went doop, 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 doop. So super easy and simple. It's a great card. Love the colors together. And she used vanilla. Now, vanilla and the Basic Beige are close, but not that close. Can you see the difference? So vanilla is vanilla, and Basic Beige just has more character. And I just feel like you can use it with so many more things. Now, it's not as smooth to stamp on as the vanilla and the white. So if you're stamping directly on it, you might notice a few, this is not quite as smooth, but you can see it does stamp, but it's really a color cardstock. Basic card right here, 5.5 by 8.5, score it at 4 1/4, and you've got your basic A2 card. Now for the bottom, I'm going to do Crumb Cake. We're going with that Boho Farmhouse color palette, okay? Basic Beige, Crumb Cake on the bottom. And I'm going to stamp my sentiment first because on my first one, I glued it down and then messed up my sentiment and had to rip it off and start over. So stamp it first. I'm using Early Espresso. Now, if you want to go modern, use black. And I'll show you what the difference, how it looks by just adding a different strip of color on it. So here's my Happy Birthday. Make sure it's straight. Somebody said, how do you make sure they're straight? Well, if you have grid paper, you can do that. But what I like to do is I just take a piece of paper with a nice straight edge, and then I line my block up with that edge of paper and say, oh, yeah, that looks pretty good. So even a scrap paper, if you just line this up with the bottom of this, then stamp it, then you'll know. Or put it on your grid paper. I'm going to go right in the center on this one. Right in the center. Is it straight? Yep, pretty good. Isn't that pretty font? I really like that. This is 1.5 inches by 5.5. You maybe could go 1 inch, but I like the bold border on it. Now I'm adding 1/4 inch of the espresso. Okay, and then my dyes will go on there, but watch what happens when I change it to black. All of a sudden, I mean, it just changes everything. Now it's a little bit more modern, right? And if this was black ink instead of the espresso, it sort of changes things. And watch this, if I do gray on the bottom, this is gray granite. This totally cools it all down and changes the color again. And look, with black. Now it looks more formal, like it could be a wedding card or an anniversary card. But we're gonna go back to crumb cake. I'm going farmhouse, boho farmhouse. And a little bit of glue on the back of that. I'm going on top of the crumb cake just to narrow it up just a wee bit. All right, now on my original card, I used a different stamp set, which is one of my favorites, Sweetly Scripted. I think it's a great set to have. I love a long skinny greeting. It's got anniversary, congratulations, birthday, thank you, speedy recovery, save the date. I love this set. I thought I would try the one that comes with the Magnolia. Now also there is Basic Beige ribbon. So if you wanted to, you could make it really neutral. All right. I did a little bit of stamping, and this is where the Lost Lagoon comes in from our color palette right here from Sherwin-Williams. Of course, they don't call it Lost Lagoon, but that's our Stampin' Up! Color. So we're gonna add some of that, and I'm doing just a wee bit of stamping in there just for a little extra texture. So if I kind of think this is where this is gonna go, then I wanna add these little leaves back here. So I'm just gonna guess where this is gonna go. Just a couple of leaves here, and I put one over here, maybe there. I'm just gonna poke through a little bit. Right. I've got dimensionals on the back of this. And this is where if you want to do a little splattering or something, now would be a good time to do that. I did splatter a little bit of Lost Lagoon up here, but I kind of like the clean edge of this. So this is just gonna go here. This one, dimensionals on the back of that. And here. And my Lost Lagoon leaves. Of course, I've already run these through the dies. That's what takes a little bit longer. Oh, by the way, if you get this and you want to run this big one through, this one, it's very intricate. I like to run these that are intricate upside down. So I put this on my machine and then the paper on top and then my plate, you know, and then run that through so it's upside down. But if you run it through the normal way, you might have to run it through and then back again just to make sure that you get all of the little parts and pieces out. And then that will just get tucked here with a little glue. And this one I could just do over here. Yeah, that looks good like that. So just put a little bit of glue on that, on the back of the leaves right here, or glue dots, something to hold it down, like that. On this one, I cut them apart, spread them out a little bit, put a little bit of glue on the bottom. So that's just a little pop. Now, if you wanted to, this card could be 5 1/4 by 4 once it's folded, and then you could add the Lost Lagoon behind it. So it would look like this, if you wanted to add. So the card still opens this way, but you have a little bit on the inside, okay? So if you wanted to cut it down, then you've got your Lost Lagoon repeating 3 times, 1, 2, and 3. This one I didn't. I kind of like it with the Lost Lagoon behind it. And then I just stamped the big flower here with Basic Beige. And then I added a white label because I screwed up. So I dropped the stamp before it's stamped and I had a big smudge, so I had to cover it up with this, but it looks pretty. It kind of brings the white in to the other side. So then the last thing I need to do is some embellishments, a few of those scattered around. So I will link to everything below, the measurements, the Magnolia mood bundle, all the basic beige stuff with the ink and the paper and the refill, and the Sweetly Scripted stamp set if you like that one. And we'll see you next time. Have a great week. See it, learn it, stamp it.